This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're taking a look at the GORUCK Dopp Kit, which I've been testing for the past 2 weeks. Let's dive in. So in typical GORUCK fashion, we have Cordura on the exterior of this thing. It's very durable, it holds its shape very well, and that's helped out a little bit by what's on the inside. So it seems really, really stiff right now. When you don't have the inserts on the inside, it's not as stiff, but you're typically always going to have those inserts inside there. So very, very just sturdy, and it's not really malleable. If you take those out, it is a little bit more malleable though. The material does a good job protecting against water, but as you can see, it picks up pet hair fairly well. This cleans up really easily. I just left it on there to show you what it looks like with a dog and a cat. So not terrible in my personal opinion, but it is a little bit noticeable. So as you can see here on the front, we have the GORUCK patch here that came with this. So you got the nice American flag there if you're into that sort of thing. And it pops off and just has a hook and loop fastener there, so you can attach any patch that you want to on there. Or you can just leave it without one if you want to go for a more minimalistic look, all black on the outside right now. But I'll stick that back on there. Got zippers from YKK. No aqua guard finish on these, but that doesn't bother me so much. They do a really good job, easy to open and close, and I dig that we have 2 zipper heads because you can kind of decide where you want the zippers to live, whether that be somewhere like this in the middle or on the end on either side. So we got nice long pulls so you can grab onto them pretty easily. Heat shrunk plastic there. Just nice and easy to grab onto. On the back side here, we have some PALS webbing. I dig that we have this button here so you can kind of loosen things up and, wrap it around something. It's not, just a fixed point. You can, wrap this around another strap and then stick it back in and button it back up. So you can attach different things, or you can attach this to something. So if you want to attach this to a bag or something like that, you have that option with the Molly PALS webbing, whichever the proper word is. I always feel like I'm messing that up. But on the bottom here, we have this little piece of elastic, which is another way you can attach it to different things, and just handy to kind of gives it a little bit of tread here on the bottom so it doesn't slip around so much. So I didn't really find a super good use for it, but I think, if you're used to the GORUCK system, you might have a better way to attach this to your bag than I did with the pack I'm currently testing. But overall, I think the exterior looks really sleek, and it's also just incredibly durable, which is what you expect from GORUCK. So if you found this video helpful so far, make sure you subscribe to the channel so we can continue making content like this to help you travel smarter. But moving inside of this Dopp Kit, you'll see that it really isn't designed to just be a Dopp Kit. You can use it for that, although it probably wouldn't be my #1 choice. It's just a very versatile piece of gear that you can use for a lot of different things. So right now I've been kind of using it as a tech organizer because I actually lost mine. I think it's at my mom's house, we'll see. But inside I've just got a couple of miscellaneous tech items that are kind of replacements for the tech items I normally use. So just a Bluetooth speaker that I've been testing, a little power brick here. My lightning cable is inside this side over here. I normally have 3 cables with just 1 right now. And then a mouse to use at work and at home. And then some AirPods. So just a basic pack out, but as you can see, this is so rigid, it's kind of hard to fit larger items inside of here. It really does well with flatter items. So you could use this as a first aid kit. Most first aid items are kind of smaller, or you can fold them to where they're flat. So that's easier to fit inside of here. But we have a bunch of different options when it comes to like modularity here and just using different inserts. So there are 4 different inserts. These 2 are stuck together right now. And then we have, let me pull this off, hook and loop fastener on the back there. So we have these 4 inserts, and it's easier for me to go over them when they're not inside the pouch as when they are inside the pouch. So these 2 are pretty much identical, except for this one is mesh. So you can kind of see inside of this one. So if you want to be able to see if you put, cash or documents or your passport inside of here, you can see it. You don't have as much protection from the elements because it is mesh, and this is not stretchy mesh, just durable mesh. So you can see it, but you don't have so much protection from water. They both have a divider inside of here, which is nice for, hiding some currency or your passport back here. But again, you could just use this one that has that same divider, but then you can't see through it and has that little bit of extra protection from, rain or spills or something like that. So these other 2 have a lot more going on. We'll start with this one that is kind of a wallet. I've been kind of joking that this is like a billfold wallet that doesn't fold. You normally would have the fold right here, and then this would be the outside of the wallet. But we got, I believe, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 card holders there. So you can put IDs there, credit card, debit card, whatever you want to put inside of there, insurance card. And then on this side, we have a clear TPU window that you can put an ID card that you want to be able to show. You can't really show it so easily inside of this organizer, but you know, you can, or you can just rip this thing out and show it to whoever you need to show it to. Have another little pocket behind here. This one's a little bit bigger, so you can put something a little bit larger there. And then we have a zipper on the top here that you could put some stuff inside. No divider on this one like there were on these ones, but you can still, you know, secure some things. I should note that these zippers, they've worn in a little bit, but they get stuck sometimes. Like, I don't know, that one likes to get stuck right there. And I've just noticed that they feel a little big for maybe the task that they're given. They're very durable, and I haven't had any issues with them, but sometimes they just are a little slow, and I think that that is worth noting. But moving on to this one here. So this one is a vertical one. These other 3 are horizontal. This one, you know, stacks vertically. So you have a very large pocket here. This one goes all the way down to the bottom. I can't even get my hand all the way down there. A smaller pocket, which I can get my hand to the bottom of because it's a bit smaller, and then the smallest one down here. So these are not a lot of like depth here, so you're not gonna be able to slide larger items inside of there, but you can slit flat items in there. Then we have these elastic loops here, one small one and one big one. So I should note when it goes to attaching these in, it can be kind of difficult. So I like to fold it out like that, as you can see. And then you kind of just gotta line it up nicely and then stick it on. But they just feel a little bit big to fit in there nicely. And if you're off by even just a little bit, it can be really hard to get these to close. And I've gotten better at it as I've used it, but I've noticed people online saying that as well, that it's kind of hard to get them inside of there. And even when they are, sometimes they just poke out a little bit. So if they were a little bit smaller, it'd be a little bit easier. Once you get the hang of it, you can do it. It's just a little bit annoying to get used to, but as I said, I've kind of gotten used to it. You saw me just do it there. It wasn't too bad. But overall, I couldn't really use this as a toiletry pouch because there just wasn't enough large areas to stow my stuff. So in theory, I could just use it like this and stow my stuff, but even then there's just not a ton of depth here, and the materials are so rigid I couldn't really get my personal toiletries inside there. But as a first aid kit, or just a pouch in general that you can use for a ton of different things, whether that be, as I said, a first aid kit, a tech kit, or just even an identification kit, you put all of your identification and travel documents in here, I think this does pretty well. But as just a Dopp kit, I'm not sure it's the right one for me personally. So there you have it, the GORUCK Dopp Kit. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.